I'm at my lowest point in life, God. Why can't you send me a guy to be happy?
Yee.
You say you want to stop committing the sin, but I think you just like the idea.
Nope.
And I pray right now that the spirit of lust goes back into the abyss where it belongs.
What?
I heard there's a pretty active atheist community over here on TikTok, so I wanted to come say hi. Where are you guys at?
Where are you guys at? Are there actually atheists on TikTok? Welcome to Paulogia, where a former Christian takes a look at the claims of Christians. Usually the ones on YouTube, Twitter, blogs, and podcasts. But Shannon Q and Autumn, of Notes from Autumn, recently threw me into the world of TikTok. And it's a scary place for a skeptic.
The top of the platform is dominated by spiritual TikTok, witch talk or witch TikTok, paranormal TikTok, self-proclaimed psychics, and charlatans. You've got just a few seconds to catch someone's attention there, and fantastical beliefs are more eye-catching than careful reasoning and evidence-based refutations. Then, viewers who hear what they already believe instinctively like, comment, or share, and that spreads uncritical memes even further. Even when browsing the atheist hashtag, you'll find it flooded with Christian content and copious amounts of bad apologetic arguments. Since atheists and skeptics are still a minority, this means their reach and support on TikTok is dwarfed by their religious.
If you're on TikTok, there's two big things you can do for the atheist skeptic cause.
First, make or engage with atheist content. To become a TikTok creator, you don't need any special equipment or technical knowledge, just a smartphone with a working camera. You don't even need to come up with new ideas. It's a place where you can respond to what others are doing. TikTok is a growing platform. This means the potential for an audience is quickly growing too. We could use skeptical voices from varying perspectives. So whether you're an ex-Christian, someone who was never religious, if you love debunking pseudoscience, pointing out logical fallacies, asking good questions, or just demonstrating that atheists are fun, regular people, I encourage you to make the rational decision and jump on the TikTok bandwagon.
Second, the creators who are there day to day in the trenches need our support too. Some familiar faces from YouTube are there, like Shade, Godless Engineer, Anthony Magdabasco, Genetically Modified Skeptic, Exmo Lex, Katie Montgomery, Jimmy Snow, and Holy Kool-Aid. And of course, Shannon Q and Autumn are doing amazing work, and I'm there too sometimes. But the most effective voices aren't imports and outsiders. It's the TikTok natives who you may not have heard of that are most effective and could most use our help.
First up, Joe Stewart. Melissa is an ex-Christian content creator who invites viewers to join her Church of Deconstruction, where her analysis of Christian ideology and American evangelicalism can fill the pews without any threats of damnation.
According to ancient Christian legend, thousands of years ago, an angry mob tortured and killed a half-man, half-god by nailing him to a wooden cross and leaving him to die. They then enclosed his body in a tomb of stone. But only days later, on this very night, they discovered that he'd crawled out of his stony prison. There are still those who believe he will return to take over the world. They gather every week to chant and sing and pray for his quick return. And when they're done, they eat his flesh and drink his blood.
Next up is a woman who clearly has amazing taste.
What? This man, his YouTube videos helped me so much with my deconversion.
She goes by Al Biddy or Biddy Buddha, and she will mess you up with her Bible knowledge.
You're asking, what does the Son of God mean? Well, I'll tell you. Son of God in a Greek or Roman mindset concludes that that person must be God. But Son of God in a Hebraic monotheistic mindset does not place divinity in any way, but rather somebody that is performing the acts or duties of God here on earth. What is the biblical description of a prophet? Raised to a level where God communes and acts directly with them. That's why Jesus is likened unto the prophet Moses. Simply use Jesus as his prophet to bring to fruition the prophetic fulfillment of salvation through human atonement, but he certainly does not replace God. He says God is his God, and he does not regard equality with God. Jesus prays to God, not himself. Jesus teaches us how to pray to God. God raised Jesus from the dead. He didn't do it. Times mentioned of Jesus being worshipped is in the same verbiage of King David or Melchizedek. It has no deistic implications and is indicative of paying homage to a human king. Back to the book being Jewish, and the most significant departure from the Jewish notion of the Messiah is then the affirmation of the divinity of Christ, and we just destroyed the Trinity doctrine.
Jeff is an atheist content creator who is passionate about having real discussions with theists.
Oh, that's my shit right there.
While you may initially see his provocative TikToks that unabashedly criticize religion, Jeff uses them as a catalyst to invite those who oppose him over to YouTube for an open dialogue.
Rattling around YouTube, but killing it on TikTok, is Atheist Jesus himself, JMike, bringing philosophy and argument breakdowns to the vertical format.
I pretended to be a TikTok developer working on a secret project called Project Astral. My claim was that the users of TikTok are having their pineal gland interrupted by this code. Basically just a bunch of shit I made up off the top of my head. Within 15 hours, I got 3,000 followers, 70,000 video views, and people messaging me how they can stop this. I wanted to show how easy it is to make any claim and have people believe you, and why you should raise your standards of evidence given certain claims.
An impressive up-and-comer on TikTok is Atheist Frank.
So on the first point, is homosexuality unnatural? Probably not. A lot of scientists agree that there's at least some genetic role in determining sexual orientation, and if it's not genetic, it's probably epigenetic, meaning that environmental factors such as hormonal exposure in the womb can turn on and off certain genes, one of which can determine sexual orientation. Let's say it wasn't unnatural, though, and all the science is thrown out the window, as you people like to do anyway. With this, who cares? Cars are unnatural, exchanging currency is unnatural, a bunch of things that we do are unnatural. That doesn't mean it's wrong. To reiterate the point, I'm going to apply his logic to something else. A Toyota Camry is unnatural, and I find its looks disgusting, therefore driving it's wrong.
Naturally, I think you guys should give him a follow.
Apostasy isn't just for the Christians. Infidel Noodle, Aisha Mohammed, is an ex-Muslim out to normalize blasphemy and religious dissent.
Probably the most common thing that any ex-Muslim on this app hears is, why are you so obsessed with Islam? Why do you call yourself an ex-Muslim? Why can't you just move on? Criticizing ideologies that perpetuate, justify, and enable harm in society is how we achieve meaningful change. There is currently still a plethora of human rights abuses taking place in the name of Islam. I can be killed in 12 countries in this day and age simply because I apostatized from that religion. We see it in the West, too, with cases like Samuel Paddy. He wasn't even an ex-Muslim. It's incredibly powerful to publicly and openly identify as an ex-Muslim for this very reason. I can and do stand behind wholeheartedly protecting the human rights of Muslims. So why can't Muslims stand in solidarity with ex-Muslims?
Not an atheist, but a skeptic and very well-researched creator is Crimson Barrel. I have learned from Crimson Barrel that the Epic of Gilgamesh is older than any biblical text, and I have been blown away by how unoriginal the biblical mythology truly is.
In the Epic of Gilgamesh, man is created from soil by a god. A woman is created alongside him. She tempts him into eating forbidden fruit, after which he covers his nakedness and is made to leave that realm. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, there is a flood myth. Humans are loud and disruptive and annoy the god Enlil, and so he's going to flood the earth to diminish the people so that they shut the fuck up. But one of the gods warns a man named Utanapishtim. I probably butchered that. He gives him the exact dimensions of this ark that he's going to build to escape the flood. Those are the same dimensions that we find in Noah's Ark. He loads the boat up with a bunch of seeds, a bunch of animals, his family, and craftsmen of all kinds. After the storm ends, Utanapishtim sends out 3 birds to check and see if the world has dried enough for them to leave the ark. After which the gods promise to never flood the earth again.
If you like 60-second Bible studies with flair, Jesus brings it with all the references.
If hell isn't real, then why does Jesus say you should fear the one who can destroy both body and soul in hell? Not hell, Gehenna. Okay, then it's saying God can destroy people in Gehenna. You're focused on the wrong part of that verse. It says that God can destroy, not that he will. Right, because he's God, but that still proves that there's a hell. Oh, because if you're using that verse, then you should believe in soul annihilation. It says that the soul can be destroyed, not that there's eternal torment in hell. So it's over. The second death, the final death, also in the Bible.
If you're a former Christian, you might consider transitioning from being a Jesus follower to following Jesus unfollower.
Atheists be like, everything came from nothing.
So how do you believe everything came to be?
Oh, that's easy. God created it. Okay, and what did he create it from? From nothing.
Menno girl Trudy, a fellow Canadian and a fellow former Mennonite, sharing her religious trauma while spreading love for all.
I want to know something from your childhood that you thought was okay but now realize is really, really bad.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. I'm a Mennonite girl, and I was born and raised in a very strict, controlling, sexist religious household. I am the second oldest out of 8 children, and we were all raised to believe that it was our job to pay our parents back for raising us, and that it was our fault that they had so much debt. So every single year, since I was 7 years old, they made us work seasonal jobs, and they would take 90% of the income we made. We could only keep 10%. And that was to help them pay their bills and for us to pay them back because we're such a burden. They would also give us quotas, so we had to make a certain amount of money each day doing field work. And if we didn't meet these expectations, we would get whipped with a belt after we got home from work that day, just to teach us a lesson, to make us work harder.
Highly relatable to those with a colorful Christian past is ExChristianAaron.
In my last video, I explained that I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at 15 years old. I was also raised in an evangelical Pentecostal church. Not only was I told to not take medication for my illness, I was also told that it was probably something demonic going on. When I inevitably wound up in the hospital, I ended up having a visit from one of my church elders. She came into my room in the hospital after visiting hours. It was fine, because she was from my church, right? She sat at the end of my bed, stared me straight in the eyes, and started to cast the demons out of me. I remember being really hurt and confused over that night, and I didn't understand how the God that I worshipped could allow me to become demon-possessed. Even worse was trying to tell my doctors what the hell just happened. I was torn between my health and my faith.
Head over to Aaron's page to hear about her transition from charismatic Christian to atheist activist.
And last but not least, Captain Dadpool, another person who learned so much at seminary that they couldn't believe anymore.
You must be here from that side of TikTok where they tell everybody that the Bible's been mistranslated because...
You know that 1 John 5:7-8, the doctrine of the Trinity, first appeared in the King James Bible, and before that was only available in a couple of Latin manuscripts. For context, we have almost 5,700 manuscripts. John 1:18, the doctrine of God being the unique God, only in some manuscripts, not all. Luke 22:19-20, the doctrine of atonement that happened in the Last Supper, only in some of the manuscripts. Starting in John 7:53, the narrative of the woman caught in adultery. This one's only in older manuscripts and does not appear in the earlier ones. It was added later by somebody. The end of Mark, chapter 16, 9-20, is where Jesus ascends into heaven. Also, not available in the earlier manuscripts, only the older ones, and was added later. Luke 23:34, where Jesus says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Again, only in some of the manuscripts. And this is just the Gospels. It's a similar story for the epistles. So yes, the infallible Word of God has undergone massive changes throughout history. I'm sure the one we have now is the right one, though.
So go follow all of these people on TikTok right now. We've got links in the description, and tell them Paulogia and Notes from Autumn sent you.
And hopefully they'll inspire you to add your voice as well.
And if you're not already subscribed to Notes from Autumn on TikTok,
please provide evidence that God does not exist.
Okay, I've seen this guy stitched so many times on my page, and every single time people are telling him that he has the burden of proof all wrong, because they're like, oh, you're the one making the claim because you're a Christian, you're claiming God is real, so the burden of proof is on you, which is correct. Except I went and watched the whole video because it had been stitched so many times. And in context, he's addressing atheists who say that God does not exist. Gnostic atheists. And I'm an agnostic atheist, but I am a Gnostic atheist about the Christian God, which means I assume the burden of proof that the Christian God, like the claims of the Bible, are not true. And I'm fully willing to take on the burden of proof there, because if the claims were true and there was enough evidence, I would still be a Christian. And I believe that there's sufficient evidence that Christianity is not true, which is what my whole TikTok and YouTube channel is about, and I'm running out of time.
and on YouTube, you need to fix that immediately for her journey and super smart analysis of the psychology, the marketing, and the communication of religious ideas, and the better ideas that counter them.
Are you actively promoting secular ideas on TikTok? What's your favorite TikTok creator that we missed? Let everyone know in the comments.
Thanks for watching, and until next time, later.
See ya.